Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every Wednesday, we have the privilege of coming to you to talk about money, life, and everything else. It's always a privilege because I know that the information that we share on this show is always relevant and timely. And of course, this month is Women History Month. We all been talking about it. And the other day we had International Women's Day, and it's an exciting time for women and for those who would like to celebrate women. And I just wanted to have this show today because tonight's topic is so relevant. It's women's wealth matters. Why does it matter? Because if you're not financially empowered or economically empowered, you really will have a hard time as a woman. So therefore tonight, we will have an opportunity to discuss with you what are some of the barriers and what are some of the challenges that women have had to face and what we can do to overcome and to surpass. Because at the end of the day, women aren't we survivors? I think it was what's her name? Beyonce. She said we are survivors, actually from her group Destiny. We are survivors, we're gonna make it. And women, we've always found ways to survive. And that's why tonight I have a friend who's gonna be joining me. He's running a little late, but I said, you know what? I'm a survivor, I'm gonna make it. And we always like to do what we need to do. We don't stop, we keep going. And that's why it's so important for me on this show, Let's Talk Money with Friends. I want to encourage you to pass on this information to women that you know. This is our month, but we have to do more. It's not only one time, 1 month out of the year. It's throughout the year that we must do what we need to do to encourage one another, to lead one another towards better deeds. Last week, I talked about doing better. And I know that this show, we say on this show that money encompasses everything. We talk about a plethora of topics, but tonight we're going to talk about money and how you as a woman can empower yourself economically and can build wealth. So without further ado, I would like to let you know a couple statistics. Everybody wants to know what's going on. They say 93% of women are worried about money. Are you one of them? 93%. So if you know 100 people, 93 of them are worried about money. Why? Because they have not been able to catch up. And why haven't we been able to catch up? Because we have what we call a wealth gap in this country and probably the world. The wealth gap makes women more vulnerable than their counterpart, meaning men, the wealth gap. And why do we have a wealth gap? Because we have a wage gap. I had a show recently that I did called Pay Us, It Matters. Pay Us, It Matters. Women are working hard. My gosh, aren't we going to school and getting all the degrees? If you go to any university right now, you'll see there are more of us at the universities than there are men. Many of us right now are going into senior leadership role, positions. We're taking senior leadership positions, but we still don't make as much money as our male counterparts. Why? Because of the wage gap. It keeps lingering. It's been years and we're still fighting for wage equality. And also too, the reason why we are not able to build wealth as much as men, not only do not get paid as much, but also too, when it's time to have children, who stays home? When it's time to have children, women, the mothers are usually staying home. When it's time to take care of someone who's ill or who needs care in the family, who's always more than willing to say, I'm gonna stay and take care of those people. We have the sandwich generation where they are parents who are living or are still alive, and then you have women who have children, so they're taking care of their parents and their children at the same time. Many times they're not able to work as many hours, or they're not able to pursue as many opportunities going beyond maybe an entry-level position. And if they're, again, like I just mentioned, even when they go to senior level leadership positions, they're still not making as much as men. Is that fair? You think it's fair? We are celebrating Women's Month this month. And I think it's a time to have some retrospective view, to look at things in a way where we could say, okay, how far have we gone? How far have we come? Where have we been and how far have we come? Until we are willing to do what we need to do, it's not gonna work. We are gonna continue to be at a disadvantage. Women have been fighting for so many rights. We have to fight for everything. And that's every woman. Every woman has to fight for everything. But at the end of the day, there are differences between certain women, Black women, white women, and Latino women. And I'm gonna share that with you in a minute. I just wanna say that the reason why we have a wage gap in this country and perhaps all over the world is because we don't have what we call pay transparency laws. Pay transparency laws in this country, everywhere, in all the states. Actually, they said that there are only 10 states in the United States, out of the 50 states, only 10 states have pay transparency laws. What is that? Pay transparency laws is a law that in California, for example, they have that law. If you post a job, you have to post the salary range. It's that amount of money. So a woman or a man who's going in, they know what they can expect, what they can ask for. If you're gonna be doing the same job and they're asking for the same credentials, and they're asking for similar experiences, because there's transparency in the pay, you will be able to say, okay, I want this. That's what I'm looking for. And the men will probably ask for the same thing or similar. But if everything is on the hush hush, everything is being done quietly without transparency, it's very easy to take advantage of someone when they don't know what they have, what option they have, what you have to choose from. And that's why it's very important that we fight for this. In Massachusetts, where I live here, we don't have that law. As I said, out of the 50 states, only 10 states, I was looking it up, California, and actually 2 states here in New England, Rhode Island and Connecticut. They do have that pay transparency laws where you have to disclose the pay range, how much the job is gonna pay or is willing to pay. So when you're going in what you can negotiate for. But if you don't know, if you're in the dark, it's very easy for them to lowball you. I remember years ago, I went for a job, and I think I had shared this online before. The job had posted, actually, they did post it for a certain amount of money, but because I had not seen that post, I went in because I just went in to look for a job for that company at the time, and they lowballed me by $15,000. I was paid less, not even the minimum salary. So that's why we have to be educated. I had posted that we cannot afford not to be informed. We have to be informed, because if you're a woman, you're not informed, guess what? You're gonna be taken advantage of. We already have so many odds, so many stacked up against us already. So we cannot afford not to be informed. That's why it's important to let your friends know that a show like this, Let's Talk Money with Friends, is on the air. And that's why it's important to talk to your friends about money. That's why we call this show Let's Talk Money with Friends. When you have conversation with your sisters and your friends about money and about what you're doing and about how you are asserting yourself in the workplace to get what you deserve, they too will be able to do it. But if everything is quiet, it's being done behind closed doors, guess what? We're not gonna be able to get what we want. Again, this month, it's Women's History Month. And we are celebrating women and all their contributions to this society and the world, as a matter of fact. But yet, that group of people, women, I'm part of that, we don't get what we deserve. We don't get as much as. And let me give you the reality of what it looks like in terms of numbers. Because sometimes when you tell someone like, there's a wage gap, there is a disparity, income disparities, and they'll be like, really, it couldn't be that bad. Well, it is that bad. Do you know yesterday? How many of you knew that yesterday was a very important day for women? Yesterday was an important day for women because yesterday was the Equal Pay Day. Equal Pay Day. That's what yesterday, March 12th, was Equal Pay Day. And the reason that the Equal Pay Day is to remind society of the inequality that exists between men and women when it comes to pay, the equality in income. So yesterday was Equal Pay Day, March 12th. Now this Equal Pay Day started by the National Committee on Pay Equity, National Committee on Pay Equity. And it started actually in 1996, so almost 30 years ago. The awareness to let society know, to let us know that, listen, there is a problem here. And we need to think about it. We need to do something about it. That's why the pay transparency laws have been enacted in so many different states and made laws, but not in every state. We still have 40 states who are still waiting to do what is right, that are still waiting to do what is right. So with the national pay, it used to be called the National Pay Inequity, National Pay Inequity Awareness Day. Now it's the Equal Pay Day, and which started, as I said, in 1996. So this is what it looks like for women. Now we have men who are working, and they're working hard. Yes, they are. We know they work hard, and they make $1. They make $1. You know, your average white woman, that's the white women, they make 84 cents. So the difference between what a man would make and a white woman would make is 16 cents. Now, when we think about cents, we're like, oh, that's miscellaneous. Cents is no big deal. It's a couple of cents here, a couple of cents there. Well, over time, that's why money is always funny. Money and time does, oh my gosh, when you take money and you add time, it grows exponentially. So here we are, the difference between, according to the US Census Bureau, okay? The difference is 16 cents. A man will make $1, a woman will make 84 cents. A white woman, that is. Now, in the long run, over 40 years work, usually most professionals will start after college at 25, and the average, it used to be your retirement age will be 65. So you start at 25, I meant to say 25, and you retired at 65. Guess what? That's 40 years. Now that's 16 cents difference for a woman, a white woman, equals to $399,600. Who wants to get paid $400,000 less over your lifetime of employment? Almost $400,000 less. That's what it does. That's why it's very important. That's why wealth inequality is a big thing, because at the end of the day, that's $400,000 that could have been in a woman's pocket, but they didn't get that. She didn't get that because of the fact that there's a pay gap. The pay gap created that over 40 years. But you know what? I was like, well, $400,000, that's a lot, but still not a lot. But guess what? For a Black woman like myself, the difference over 40 years in the pay gap, the difference according to US Census Bureau, the difference, it's $884,800. $884,800. That's almost $1 million. That's the gap. That's the difference between what a white man will make and a Black woman would make. So they're working, we both working. We started at 25. We work on up to the age of 65. He walks away with $884,000. $800 more than I do on average because of the wage gap. And unfortunately, it's even worse for Latinos, for Latinas, for women of Latin descent, Latina women. The gap for them is over $1 million. It's $1,218,000. $1,218,000. That's the gap for them. So this is serious because what it means is that a man, and that's information you can verify, okay? U.S. Census Bureau, and also if you look up women and wealth, you'll find a lot of that information. For a man can start, he can start working and stop at 60 and make more money than a woman who works all the way to age of 80 or 90 because of the gap. If you want to catch up, you have to work more years to catch up. That's why it's so important to celebrate the Equal Pay Day every year. But in celebrating it is to remind employers that what they're doing is wrong and that they need to be fair and just and be transparent and pay women what they deserve, what they've worked for. Again, we are going to school and getting the education. We are working hard as anybody else. We respect the fact that men do work hard, but women work hard too. And yet, we already have so many odds stacked up against us. And yet, we're not getting the minimum, which is equal pay. It's very important that we do get that. Again, tonight, the celebration is about women. Women's History Month is this month, March. We take a pause to celebrate women and all their accomplishments and all their contributions to society. However, tonight, I wanted to highlight the fact that although we are celebrating the very people that we give birth to, women are giving birth to men, and yet they're being valued and they're being seen as being more valuable than women because their compensation over time and over the years have always been better and more than women. All we are asking for is equitable treatment, equitable and equal treatment. That's it. And I would encourage those of you who are watching, and if you have an employer who's not doing what's right, that you organize and say, listen, we need you to be more transparent and need you to do what's right. Why? Because, you know, if it was all about money, it wouldn't be a big deal. If it was just about money, it wouldn't be a big deal because, hey, money is just money. But money is what money does. We say money encompasses everything. Money is what money does. What does money do for women? Money gives you security, financial security. So how many women do you know? Do you know a woman right now who's in an abusive relationship, but she's not able to leave because she cannot afford to rent an apartment on her own? She can afford to pay the car note on her own. She cannot afford to take care of the kids by herself. She's working full time, but she's not making as much money because her pay is being taken, she's not being paid a fair wage. So therefore, she has to stay in an unhealthy and abusive, dysfunctional relationship. That's what money does. Money gives you financial freedom and financial security. It's very important that women have that type of financial freedom and security, because if you stay in an unhealthy relationship, you're teaching your kids that it's okay to stay in an unhealthy relationship, healthy relationships. And then the cycle, generational, it continues. So we want to encourage men and women to think about why is it important to pay women fair wages, a fair wage, equal pay for equal work, equal days of work, equal pay. I remember years ago, I was watching Oprah and she said that she was a young woman in her 20s working. She was a co-host on a show, and she found out that she was making, I think, $20,000 or $30,000 less than her co-host. They were doing the same job, had to come to the office the same time, presented show, at the same time, doing everything, but yet because he was quote unquote married with children, the producers or the company at the time decided that they would pay him $30,000-$40,000 more than they would pay her. And I've had the same experience happen to me. The same thing happened to me. And you're like, well, the truth of the matter is doesn't he have kids and children? So yeah, he deserves to get paid more. Well, that's your rationale, right? You can we can discuss that all day. But at the end of the day, you know how many women who do not get married? And those women have to take care of themselves. They don't have a second income. She was a single woman without a second income too. Let's say he was the head of his household and had to pay for everything. She was the head of her household and had to pay for everything, the rent, the bills. Maybe she didn't have the kids, but guess what? When you're single, you have the freedom to do other things. And she would have wanted to do that, just like anybody who's single now. So the other thing that the pay inequality creates is for single women. Those who have staying single, those who have had to stay single, struggle with paying their own bills because they're not getting paid. They don't have a second income, and yet their pay is getting cut by 15, 20% or more if you're Latina. So you cannot justify that, oh, well, he has a family, that's why he has to get paid more, because a single woman also has her entire responsibility. Not to mention, again, women are typically caretakers. Usually when you're single in a family, in the community, guess what? In your community, you always ended up having to do more and help with more. So having your financial security, it's also very important. And women also too, even those who are married, sometimes lose, they will lose their spouses. When you lose a spouse, guess what? You lose that income. You lose that income. Especially if you had not taken the time to plan for the what ifs. What if he were to die? What if she were to die prematurely? To a life insurance policy or doing planning like that. So even those who are married still deserve to get paid what they deserve to get paid, because of the fact that at the end of the day, women who do not have the financial security that I'm talking about here, because they're not getting paid what they're supposed to get paid, they say 81% of them cannot save. And when they don't have any savings emergency funds, guess what? That's when the stress, they're worried the most. They are the most concerned because they don't have money in the bank. They don't have money saved, because the money that they could have saved, that 15%, 20%, 30%, the employer kept, penalizing them because they are women. But those who do have the opportunity to save, only 26% of them are worried about money. So the financial stress that can happen when you don't have money, it's very important that we emphasize that on the show about wealth. Wealth matters. And some of the stress, some of the barriers that women have been dealing with are being caused by society. Barriers and position that they've been in that they shouldn't have been in, bad relationship, abusive relationship, unhealthy relationship they're staying in, because they're working hard, they're getting the education, they're getting all those degrees, they're working hard just like everybody else, but they're not getting the pay that everybody else, especially white men, getting. And we need to do something about that. And there's a movement to do something about that. Equal Pay Day, which was yesterday for 2024, is to bring awareness so that you can talk about it, your employer can talk about it, and something can be done about it. The laws, the pay transparency law, it's something that every state should have, so that in order for women to know what they can ask for, so that they don't get lowballed all the time when they go for a job and they're going in, the job budget is $100,000, but because there's no transparency, they can tell them 75, 70, 65. And that person who's in need of a job, that woman who's in need of a job, because she has responsibilities at home, she'll say yes, when the truth of the matter is she just shot herself by $30,000. We need to have the money because that's how we build wealth. Today's show is about wealth building. How do women, why is it, why our wealth matters? And when you have wealth, you have peace of mind. Peace of mind is something that's very important. But how do you build wealth? We talked about having a personal plan. It's very important that you start somewhere. And the best thing to do is to write it down, because I know many times we said, I'm gonna get it there. I'm gonna get somewhere. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna do it. Just like I'm gonna go to the gym, but you never make it to the gym because life happens, right? Situation will come up. The same thing. I'm gonna start saving. Whatever I'm getting, although the income is not what it's supposed to be, but I'm getting this income and I'm gonna try to plan so that I can build something, not only to have financial security now through an emergency fund, but also later to my retirement account and all my long-term savings. But if you don't have a plan, it's never gonna happen. Why? Again, women are caretakers and we givers. We like to give. So if we don't have a plan where it's automatically goes someplace, goes into an account that is far away and not easily accessible, guess what? It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. So the encouragement when it comes to savings and building wealth is that you try to save for emergency first. Having a budget, and you say the emergency. Emergency, 3 to 6 months. Why is that important? Because stuff will happen. Life happens. You will have an emergency. The emergency could be as bad as, I'm in this relationship, it's abusive, and I need to get out. But if you don't have anything saved at all, how are you gonna get out? You may not even have money for the bus, or money for gas to get out, to drive from one state to the next to go see your family. So that's why you have to have your own emergency fund. Whether you're married or not, I believe strongly. I was in banking for 10 years. I remember newly married couples would come and they're like, oh, we want to open an account. And I'm like, how many accounts are you opening? Or just one. We want everything to go into one account because we're going to share everything. Fine. But the truth of the matter is the best thing to do is to have 3 accounts. One for the family, one for him, one for you. And the reason for that is because if you have a little emergency, you don't have to always go to the family account, that operating account for the family, you grabbing that. Now, that's in addition to savings account, other accounts that you may have. But I'm saying like just a checking account or GetGo, you should have 3. One that you only have access to, one he has access to, and one that you both have access to. If you're married, if you're not married, you have 2 accounts, one for household expenses and one for your savings, emergency funds. It's very important that you have that, because if you don't start it, you'll never get there. If you put $100 away every month, at the end of the year, you'll get $1,200. But if you don't put anything away every month, at the end of the year, you'll get 0. What's the difference is between you being disciplined and taking baby steps versus you not doing anything at all. Emergency fund consistently. In this conversation here I'm having, you'll be surprised how many people who have high incomes, high salaries, and still are not putting anything away, because again, women are givers. They're giving. Well, it's gonna happen maybe when the kids are done from college, when the kids are graduated from high school, when my parents are no longer here. They're always postponing. Procrastination and being uninformed about how money works and how money can work for you in terms of time value of money is the reason why so many of us are saying later. It's gonna happen, but it's never gonna happen. But if you wanna be consistent by putting something away, you'll see. Before you know it, you'll see the major outcome of your discipline. You gotta be disciplined and be consistent. If not, if you were to get into an emergency and you had to leave, you had to go, you had to pay for something unexpectedly, you're not gonna have it. That's why wealth building is. Many times we ended up in situation where people are pulling credit cards if they have credit cards and find themselves in deeper debts because of the fact that they're not planning. It's very important. There is a financial advisor with Fidelity. I follow her online. She says that, on average, your best budget should be 50% of your income. You make $100,000, 50 should be allocated for your rent, food, and utilities, your expenses, your essential expenses, 50%. 15% should go towards your retirement account. Retirement. Because guess what? One day you're the youngest at the job, and before you know it, you're no longer the youngest. The young ones are coming in, and you're gonna be leaving. Because one of these days, sooner or later, you have to leave. When you leave, what you had saved over the years is what you're gonna have to live off, to live on. So it's very important that you start the savings, not only emergency, but the next thing is the retirement savings. 15%, she said. 50% goes into your essential, 15% for retirement, and then 5% goes into that emergency fund we just talked about, emergency fund. And the remaining 30% will be cushion to do other things. If you want to have a higher cost of living, you want to do more traveling, you want to give more money. Some people give to the church, they give to charity, they give to family, then you'll have that. So in order for you to be able to do all that, you got to have a roadmap. The roadmap for women is very important. Again, we outlive our spouses. So even if you have the best spouse who likes to take care of everything, but guess what? Statistically, women will outlive a husband, a spouse, or husband. So it's very important that you learn how to be disciplined yourself so that when the times come and you have to be taking care of yourself, you already know. It's like it'll be a no-brainer because you already had the skill, you already had the training. It's very important that you create a budget and a budget that makes sense, because at the end of the day, if you don't have that, you will never have a roadmap to your financial future. Again, that roadmap, you need to create that. If you don't create that roadmap, you're always going to be at a loss and not be where you need to be. I just want to say that I had a friend who is he's doing a training right now. He told me that he's doing a presentation, a financial literacy presentation, but I'm not sure it's for women. It's for everybody, men and women. And he wanted to be on, and he said he was gonna jump on at 7:30, and hopefully he'll be able to get on. But I hope this information that I'm sharing here so far is gonna be helping a woman, because we say on the show, Let's Talk Money with Friends, we could talk about anything else, but we're talking about money. But we say money encompasses everything. Why? Because money is lifestyle. Money is peace of mind. Money is you being able to build community, because you have the emergency funds, you have the security, financial security, so that you're not a burden to other people. They're not running away when you come around, because they know you are someone who is responsible and you're doing everything that you need to do to protect yourself financially and to manage your finances well. It's very important that we do that, because at the end of the day, if you don't have a budget, you are not going to be able to tell your money what to do. And with a budget, you tell your money what to do. Without a budget, your money will be telling you what to do. And again, we are already at a disadvantage. We are earning less. So it is imperative that we create a roadmap for what we have, not only for now, but also for the future. Now, I just mentioned 15% towards your retirement. I know women who've been at a job for years, and the company's saying, oh, we have an employer match. If you put 5%, we'll do 5%. And guess what? Because they don't have a roadmap, they never do it. You gotta save. Although right now they've made it almost like a not automatic, you have to opt out of it. But at the end of the day, you gotta save for your retirement. A 401k plan, most jobs, have that, where you are able to save pre-tax. Pre-tax, save on tax now. or you can choose to save after tax and not have to pay the tax now, but have to pay it in the future. Tax planning is another factor when it comes to planning savings. You know, this is the tax season right now. Everybody's running to their tax preparer and say, hey, I need you to file my taxes for me. You know, how much do you charge? Okay, a couple $100. Great, great, great. Please do that for me. And then I'll sign. And all that is fine. But if you are someone who's really planning, who's thinking about your future, you have to take the time to sit down with a professional and say, you know what, this is the plan that I have. This is the plan that I'm working on. What does it look like in terms of my tax consequences today and my tax consequences for the future? Now, like I said, you work with a professional and you're willing to pay for that service because that's advice. Advising a tax advisor will take the time to look at your overall picture, your plan, and help you predict what it's gonna look like. Forecast, I should say, forecast the future and how you're gonna have. Of course, we don't know what the tax rate's gonna do. We don't know everything about everything, but all we can do is do some modeling and forecast for what it might look like for you in the future. And at least you'll have an opportunity to say, okay, should I invest my retirement money in all pre-tax, like 401k at work? Should I go all the way to up to what my employer is offering, the match? And then the remainder I invested in after tax, you know, like a Roth, a 401k Roth, you know, or do I put it in a taxable after tax, a taxable account, like a brokerage account where I can invest in the market, do whatever I want, but have access to that money without restriction? Because of course a 401k has restriction because they want you to save that money for retirement. And if you decide, you know, oh, I'm gonna start taking that money before retirement, there'll be penalties. So having conversation is very important. You gotta have a plan. There's a point you get in life, certain income bracket, you cannot be someone who's just gonna go to your tax, you know, the local tax man and say, can you do my taxes? Yeah, this month, and then that's it. You have to sit down and have a plan. As a matter of fact, some employers, depending on where you work, they'll offer that opportunity for you to speak to a financial professional for free or a tax advisor for free. But if you notice, every single statement that you ever gotten, every single one of those statements always say, speak to your tax advisor, consult with your tax advisor, because every transaction, all the transactions that you can think of, every single one of them have tax consequences. So you need to, in order for you to do it right, you have to sit down and have a relationship with a tax professional and also have a roadmap for as to where you want to go. Knowledge is power. You cannot afford not to be uninformed. We already have so many barriers. We already have so many barriers as women, barriers to accumulating wealth. Now, if you don't have knowledge adding to that, it's even gonna be worse. So it's very important that you take the time to say to yourself, am I someone who's looking to build wealth? Not only wealth for myself, but generational wealth. If I'm looking to build generational wealth, I have to start someplace. I'm young, I'm starting saving, but once I've accumulated enough, I'm gonna need help. And the help that you're gonna need is from a professional. You know, I've had people say to me, well, I made that decision, but I didn't know. Had I known, I wouldn't have made that decision. And I'm thinking, you didn't know. What made you think that you would know? This is the law. Tax is the law. You know, many times I've had clients who have accumulated, they have a house, they have certain things, and they're transferring, you know, they're doing legacy planning. Legacy planning, they're a certain age now, and they want to, you know what, I want to transfer my house over to my children. And they go to an attorney, sign a quit claim deed, and transfer that property from, you know, and them being the owner, let's say the mother or the father or parents, and then they transfer it over to their children. And then thinking, no more, that house is no longer mine. But they didn't understand the second you do that, you just activated something you didn't know about. Of course you wouldn't have known because you're not a tax expert. The tax consequences of giving a gift. That's what you just did. You gifted your children your house. And you pass on a gift. And when I studied tax law, when you pass on a gift, guess what? You pass on your basis to that person. If you don't know what that is, you need to speak to a tax attorney or a tax expert when you are getting ready to do any financial, to make any decision when it comes to your finances. You pass on that basis to that child, all of a sudden, if you had waited or had done some proper planning, they could have avoided so much in taxation. Because, you know, the IRS is not there to advise you. They're not your advisor. They're not there to advise you on like what to do. Whatever you submit, that's what they're gonna take, and they're gonna tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Oh, okay, I see you transferred your property to this child. Great. Now it's time to pay when you sell, when the child wants to move on. Usually when you leave a house and pass it on to the kids, they wanna buy, they wanna sell it even now or in the future. It doesn't matter when they do it. There are consequences. So it's more complicated than I wanna share here, but I'm saying like, it's very important because again, this month we didn't talk about some of the tax laws that have changed, but at the end of the day, taxes is one of the things. The tax law, you have to take that into consideration when it's time for you to think about your financial plan and your wealth building. Now, we've said so much, and I just want to say again, thank you for all of you for being on, for, you know, tuning in and watching this show later on and share with your friends. And I know I've shared some really important information here. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it was important. And those who are watching are benefiting from it. And I will encourage you to reach out to your community. And your community are the people around you. And let them know. You know, I was talking to a businessman earlier today, and I said to him, I'm going to be talking about this topic. And he said, yeah, Gabrielle, so important because, again, women are at a disadvantage. They need to have community. They cannot do this by themselves. If anything, just so that they could have synergy. Are you familiar with synergy? Synergy is one. You know, the Bible, you all know I'm a believer. The Bible talks about one can chase 1,000, but two can put 10,000 to flight. Can you imagine? One person can do 1,000, but two will do 10,000. So that's why the idea of marriage, those who are married with the right person, not just marriage, but marriage to the right person, can be very beneficial, financially beneficial in so many different ways because of the synergy that can exist in that relationship, because two is better than one. So if you are someone who's single or someone who's not or doesn't have a spouse, you can still create that synergy with people around you, with trusted community, friends, folks that are around you. And he was saying, like, you know what? If you cannot afford to own your own, you got to do it with somebody else. Building wealth. One of the ways that folks build wealth in this country is through home ownership. I know many single people who have talked to me and say, you know what, I cannot afford a house. I cannot afford a house. And I'm like, okay, who do you talk money with? Again, let's talk money with friends. Who do you talk money with? Oh, I don't talk money with anybody. You know, I don't have anybody I can trust to talk about these things. Then you need a new circle of friends. Because nowadays, the market is so high that the only way, if you're a single person, you're going to be able to do this, you're going to need help, support. So that's why you have to build that synergistic community around you where you can leverage what they have and they can leverage what you have, and you can build like that. Because if you don't have community, if you don't have support, you're already at a disadvantage. You're not making as much money. White, black, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Latina, you're not making enough money because you're not making as much as a white man. Now, if you don't have community because you're not married, you're single, and you don't have community, it's gonna be even harder for you to survive and to build wealth, because you ended up paying for everything on your own. You're going on vacation, you're going on your own. I've seen women say, I'm going on vacation, I'm going on my own, and I'm paying for everything by myself. And it's fine, but you know what? If you had girlfriends and great people that you had built relationship with, you could have an awesome vacation with other people. And that vacation will cost you a lot less. I was just talking to a sister at church the other day. She's like, I just came back from Egypt. And I'm like, really? She said, yeah, I came back from Egypt. Actually, I went with a bunch of people I didn't even know, but I found them. I found that community and I felt very good around them. And I knew that I'm the type of person who can, relate, who can work with anybody because I have a great spirit. You got to have a great spirit. Many of you don't have what you need is because you don't have a great spirit. You're not becoming better every day. She said, I have a great spirit. I know I can work with anybody and be around anybody. Guess what? I had a fun time. I'm sure if she had decided by herself, I'm going to Egypt, it would have cost her so much more money. And then the fun too, you wouldn't have had the fun. So going back into even building wealth, in order for you to keep more in your pocket, you have to spend less. Doing the budget, you got to spend less. And the best way to spend less is to find community and find other people who share your values and work with them. Like I know folks who have like the telephone, your telephone, cell phone, they have it as a group cell phone, friends, multiple friends on the same line, on the same plan, I would say. They all pay together. So it reduces the cost for each, the unit cost for each. Even Netflix or the streaming services. I know people who are single, who are on, each other's program. They do it together. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. When you build together, you can go together. Again, going back to like building equity. Building equity, you're paying rent, you're paying $2,000 in rent. And you have another friend who's paying $2,000 in rent. You both are making $75,000 or $100,000 a year, but you're not married yet. Why not sit together and say, we're gonna do it legally? This is not like, oh yes, let's decide to do it. No, everything can be written and all the agreements can be signed and sealed and delivered by an attorney. If you want more safe security, feeling like you're safe, your decision is not gonna be compromised. That's one way to build wealth. To be happy for your friends as well. I have written here that one of the ways to build wealth is to be encouraging your friends to learn and encouraging them to do better. Because when I was saying to the same businessman, the people closest to us, when we are in financial hardships, when we need help, we cannot call somebody from far away. You see the movie star on TV, you see other people on television, you see here and there, you cannot call them. But the person closest to your cousin, your family, your friends, those are the people you could call if you have an emergency for help. And yet, those people have a business. You don't support that business. Whatever they're doing, you don't support it. You're not investing in that. They're doing taxes, but yet your tax is being done by somebody you don't even know. They have a store. That store, you don't go to that store to buy what's in there. You go on someplace else because for some reason or another, some people are just hating. It's the truth. They just don't want to see you succeed. So they're not gonna support you. But yet, when there's an emergency, a family emergency, a local community emergency, who do they call? The people closest to them. We have to invest in one another, in each other's life. We have to invest in order for us to build wealth. I say money encompasses everything. And your mindset about community, about friendship, about relationship can actually hinder or elevate you. It's either stops you from growing financially or help you grow exponentially. Again, 2 can chase 10,000, exponentially greater. Yeah, do you want to travel and see the world? Make friends with people who want to do the same thing. You want to save more money? Make friends with people who are frugal, who wants to have fun, but they know how to kind of leverage each other's assets, leverage each other's in order to get everybody gets what they want because they're leveraging each other. You have a gym membership, have multiple people in the same household on the same gym membership. Why does everybody have their own gym membership? I have one, you have one here, and we all live in the same community. There's so much we can do together. So much we can do together. Community is everything. When we don't collaborate, we don't thrive. But when we collaborate, we thrive and do so much. There are communities here in the United States that are doing so well. And I love going to certain places for food because I love the cuisine, the food and stuff like that. So I'll go to eat. And then you see multiple restaurants and multiple people working there. And you're like, how did they get funding to open these restaurants? You think they went to the bank? I worked in Macon for 10 years. I never saw these people coming in for a loan, for an SBA loan, for any of those type of loans, never. And I was in Boston. They know they're not gonna get qualified for a loan, especially if they're new to business. They have a dream, they're new. A few of them have a dream, are dreaming together. The only way they're gonna be able to get the capital that they need, the funding that they need, to start a business, start a restaurant, start a store, buy a house, is if they work within their community. And many of them are thriving financially, economically in this country because of the fact that they have community. The system is already rigged against women. And when you have women who are catty, and instead of women who are supporting one another, it's bad for everybody. You make it harder on yourself when you don't support your sisters. And they make it harder on themselves when they don't support you. So my encouragement today, and obviously my guest got caught up. I understand it happens. That's why I'm a woman, I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it and I'll keep on surviving. I know how to do things and I know how to stand on my own and I know how to collaborate. And I would have loved to have him here tonight, but he's not here and I feel like I've delivered to you. So I'll encourage you tonight to stand up and fight for wage equality. At work, talk about it. Go to, your legislative bodies, wherever you are, call your elected officials, tell them that we need pay. We need the pay transparency law in Massachusetts and all the states that you are in. Let them know you want that. Guess what? You can make it happen. And then think about taking care of yourself. Start planning for your retirement. Start planning for your emergency fund. Start planning for the things that you want because you don't want to get stuck in a bad situation because you did not plan. Women, we have so much to carry, so many loads, so many responsibilities, right? But we have a responsibility to take care of ourselves. And we have a responsibility to take care of one another. If you decide today to build community, to be a real sister, this month is Women History Month. Are you a real woman who's trying to build the sisterhood? If you're trying to do that, you'll find a community of people that you can trust and they can trust you. It'll be a give and take. And guess what? Together, you all will prosper exponentially and do great things. I know I have 3 sisters. That's a start, but I also have friends. And I also have people that I've made a point. I've made a decision to invest in and they do the same. You gotta be a woman who's a sister so that you can benefit from the sisterhood and from everything that is available to us as women, but we cannot get it if we are not together, okay? Synergy is important, exponentially greater when you work with other people. So I will encourage you to do that and to build your wealth. Women's wealth matters. and it matters to me. That's why on Let's Talk Money with Friends, we talk about money and we talk about women. So go out there, have a conversation with your friends. Tell them tonight, this week, how can we build together as a community? How can we build together our bottom line, build our wealth together with what we have, with the limited resources that we have? We have limited resources because of the fact that so much is being taken on up top of the top. So therefore, you have to work together in order to build. Yeah, build your wealth because it matters. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great night. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the special day and enjoy the special month, Women History Month. It matters to me and it should matter to you. Thank you. Have a blessed night. Stay tuned. Next week, we're gonna have a great guest. He's an important someone who's doing great thing in the community, and he's actually helping a lot of women, single women, find homes. Yeah, I want to have a conversation with him because this is a month for women, and we want to celebrate women, and we want to highlight everybody who's doing great things to help to make women's lives better. Thank you so much for your time. Have a blessed night. Please tag, share, make a comment. And we'll see you next week for another episode.